Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Surefire, and welcome to our first video of the Lore of Gods. The basic idea of these videos is I just want to give everyone a basic understanding of the lore and mythos of the gods that we play in Smite. As such, the first god we're going to talk about is going to be my favorite god, Fenrir the Unbound of the Nordic pantheon, and an assassin in Smite. A side note though, if I do mispronounce something, I do apologize in advance. Fenrir's name translates to one who dwells in Fen, or simply Fen Dweller. Just some info for anyone who may not know, which does include myself, a fen is an area of land that is low and marshy or is frequently flooded, which plays nice into his lore, but we'll get into that later. Some of Fenrir's other names that he has gone by, though, is Fenris Sulfur, or the Fenris Wolf, Hrodividnir, or Fame Wolf, and Vanagander, or the Monster of the River Van. Looking at Fenrir, there really isn't too much that is special about him based on his appearance, other than the fact that he is a monster wolf, and is massive in size because of it. Other than that, really the only notable feature that's really about him, which I can't really find a good source, but I know has been alluded to, is the fact that he is black in his fur, and that's really about it. Now, Fenrir has appeared in quite a few pieces of text, including the Poetic Edda and the more commonly referenced Prose Edda. In the Prose Edda, the stanza he is included in speak of him killing Odin and then later being killed by his son Vidir. Oddly enough, the other stanza of which he is spoken of, it tells him actually killing Sol after she's given birth of her daughter. I think that's a little bit of an interesting point, but again, we'll talk more about that later. In the Prose Edda, Fenrir is mentioned in a few chapters, but is most commonly known for his appearance in chapter 34, which is most commonly known as the Binding of Fenrir. In the story, we are introduced to the children of Loki and Angerboda, which is Jormungandr, Hel, and of course Fenrir. Odin, knowing of the prophecy of what will happen at Ragnarok, he does what he can to prevent it by sending Jormungandr over to the Sea of Midgard and then Hel to Niflheim. To keep an eye on Fenrir, however, he is brought home with the Aesir. Seeing him grow at an alarming rate, however, the Aesir were aware that what this could lead to, and planned on keeping him trapped in order to prevent him wreaking havoc. So what they end up doing is they want to test his strength, and by doing so they give him different chains to break. The first of the two chains, Lading and Dromi, proved to be weak and as such were broken fairly easily. Seeing this, Odin commissioned the dwarves to create a chain that could contain the wolf. The dwarves then did this in the form of a ribbon named Glyphir. It was made by 6 impossible things, which were the sounds of a cat's step, the beard of a woman, roots of a mountain, the sensibility of a bear, a fish's breath, and a bird's spittle. With the ribbon made, Fenrir was again tested, but now he was suspicious, as most people probably would be. To be sure that there was no foul play, he had requested that someone would place their hand in his mouth, and the only person who was brave enough to do this was of course Tyr, and we all know what happens to him. The ribbon only grew tighter, however, as Fenrir struggled. Realizing he was had, Fenrir took Tyr's hand. With Fenrir now trapped, he was later bound to a spot where it was thought he would not be able to escape, being gagged with a sword as not to bite anyone else. This caused the creation of the river Van, which should now make sense of his name, Vanagander. His only other mentions of the book, though, come in the form of a reference to Tyr's bravery, which another person recites this tale, and of course his coming in the events of Ragnarok. Now, Fenrir doesn't seem to have any special abilities that really have any mention, other than him being the bringer of Ragnarok, as well as being able to consume the 9 worlds. Other than that, he's really just a really big wolf, and as such, he was able to grow to a ridiculous size and had strength that would match that, seeing as he was able to, of course, kill Odin, the Allfather, and create the River Van with just his rule. An interesting fact about Fenrir, though, if I can just say, is according to some text, it's possible that he was actually the other wolves that were represented in the lore, such as, Garm, Skull, and Haiti. As far as we're concerned, though, this is only really speculation, and the main evidence this was given by was a man by the name of Andy Orchard, whose basis on this was how the author of the Prose Edda, Snorri, had basically kind of made sure to carefully give each character a name when he was describing each event, as to make sure it was shown that that wasn't Fenrir. As the reason I say this, though, is because in whatever text that Snorri was inspired by, it appears that they really didn't reference the difference in any of these wolves, and as such only called them really the Hound. The last thing I wanted to cover was how well Fenrir is presented in Smite. Overall, the Fenrir in-game is very accurate to the lore from what I can tell, with the only exception being the detail in his design, which I'm pretty sure was only given to make the character less bland, as I'm pretty sure just a pure black wolf wouldn't really catch the eyes of any player. Well, the first 3 of Fenrir's abilities really don't seem to have any ties to his lore, other than maybe Seething Howl, which could be an allude to his anger of being trapped by his binds, hence the reason why he gains as much of an attack boost as he does. It's his ultimate, really, that we can see inspired from the lore. His ultimate is known as Ragnarok, which truly shows the lore of Fenrir, as it is named after the event of which is the end times. But as well as that, it also shows Fenrir grow to a really large size, which of course was very accurate to his accelerated growth, as well as the monster size that resulted in it. This pretty much wraps up everything about Fenrir, and I can say that I did learn something while I was researching Fenrir, and happily, say that it was a fun experience. Now, how I want to continue this series is I wanted to cover each god as they were released in Smite. As such, we're going to go ahead and go over the original 17 gods that were released as the game was introduced, and then we'll go ahead and cover each god as they were released in their, appropriate time. Obviously, we're not going to do Fenrir, though, just because we did just cover him in our very first video. So, other than that, we'll do the gods in the order of which they were released. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end, though, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any information that you feel that I missed, or maybe that you think would be able to contribute more to expanding the lore of Fenrir. And if you guys are new, or you really did enjoy my content and not yet subscribed, then please feel free to subscribe. Next video, we're going to be going ahead and covering Agni, the god of fire.